You are about to witness a global movement. The medical system has failed us. Pharmaceuticals are designed to make us sick, weak, dependent. Not anymore. This is the Medicine Girl podcast with renowned healing expert and registered nurse Robin Stebbins. Every week, we shine the light on new ways to heal your body from the root, ignite your inner healer, and tap into your divine wisdom. Begin to live harmoniously with your mind, body, and spirit. You are stronger than you think, braver than you realize. Now is the time to wake up and start living healthier, wealthier, and laugh out loud happier. And here we go.
Hello and welcome to the Medicine Girl podcast. It's me, Robin Stebbins, and today I am so excited to introduce my good friend, Dr. Fred Grover, who is in Colorado, Denver. And if you can just introduce yourself and kind of explain, you're obviously a medical physician, but what I really want to tap into is alternative therapies and ways that we can ignite our inner healer and heal the root of disease.
Absolutely. Great to be on the show here with you, Robert. And Robin's amazing. We've done some great work together in the plant medicine world and looking at more of that. So I am by training a family doc. I got board certified way back in '96 and have gone on to get board certifications in functional medicine, anti-aging and regenerative medicine, and integrative holistic medicine. So I've never been happy with just the garden variety family medicine and wanted to do deeper dives in terms of being able to provide a greater depth and breadth of care beyond, the sick model. I wanted to be able to do more prevention, to be able to do more regenerative medicine to keep people feeling young and to keep them healthier so they don't land in the hospital. Going beyond that, I've had a strong interest in shamanism and have done fellowships with Don Oscar Miro Casado in the Pachacuti Mesa tradition, learning about the beautiful elements of how shamanism can open up our energy bodies and connect us to our deeper spiritual self and to Pachamama as well as the cosmos. So I think there's a lot that we can do there. And, diving into other natural therapies that can expand consciousness has been a big interest of mine too. So my practice here in Denver, Colorado is broad-based. A lot of what I do can be more of the garden variety medical care, but I take it a few notches up and I provide a lot of hormone balancing, nutritional consultations, mind-body type recommendations, and just provide that more personalized broad scope of care, which is hopefully going to give people a better quality of life and greater longevity, happiness, etc.
Yeah. And that's so in alignment with what I'm trying to do as a nurse and seeing patients in home health, and I have my coaching clients, but I feel like there's a really big gap between the information that most patients get, and they kind of put their doctor on a pedestal, and the doctor is the God telling them to take this pill. They don't even know what that pill is. It's just blind faith and blind trust. And I've seen that's kind of gone haywire, and we're missing the point is that we're here to heal. We're healers. We signed up to do healing. And I think a lot of Western medicine has gone kind of awry with big pharma and this allowing the powers that be to have sovereignty now over our bodies.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what's happened is, many physicians have gotten into this rut where they have to see patients every 10 minutes because the reimbursement's so poor. And within that 10-minute period of time, the only thing they can really do is write a prescription and send you out the door or come to a quick diagnosis without doing the deeper dives. So for myself and other docs that have made the transition out of that sick care model and into a more personalized functional model, we spend a minimum of 30 minutes, if not an hour or longer, really trying to get down to the deeper root cause of a particular condition. And sometimes it's psychological, other times it is a genetic issue like MTHFR, a methylation issue. And I think that by doing the deeper genetic testing, some of the functional labs that particularly look at inflammation, we're able to discover that root cause of disease and not treat the smoke, but treat the fire. And that's the key. So much of Western medicine is treating the fire and not, treating the smoke, not treating the
Yeah.
fire. And
Yes.
by going after that root cause, we're able to keep people healthy now and into the future.
But I think you bring up a really good point in that, it's not the physician's fault when they're only able to see you for 10 minutes, but they absolutely cannot get to know you as a person in 10 minutes and really do a deep dive, like you're saying, to heal the root. So if, and this podcast is for I have a lot of older adults that I see through my home health practice that watch the show. So what can they do? And I talk a lot about holistic healing, and I talk a lot about alternative therapies. Sometimes they look at me, just like I'm absolutely nuts. But there's a lot of science behind what you and I are promoting. Like, even if we just go with the difference between what I call medicine and medication. Yeah. Medicine, your body doesn't build a tolerance to. The side effects are minimal, and you need less and less of it to get the same desired effect until you eventually might not need it at all. Whereas medication is your body builds a tolerance to it. It's got a long laundry list of undesirable side effects, and you keep needing more and more because of the tolerance effect.
True.
And it's never really fixing the root of the problem. So medicine to me then could mean anything from crystals to plant medicine to releasing toxic relationships, that kind of thing. So from a doctor's standpoint, what is your take on alternative therapies, and how can we weave them into the whole healing of a person?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the key is finding that integrative balance that blends the elements of mindfulness, like you were talking about, plant medicine, other therapies, whether it be breath work, or even exercise, to achieve that optimal outcome. And sometimes I'll have somebody that has extremely high blood pressure, and no matter how many natural interventions I try to do, whether it's Hawthorne and weight loss and CoQ10 and maybe even beets and other things that help with the nitric oxide synthetase pathway, I still have to have medication in. And it's not like we've lost the war. It's just like, okay, we've been there, we've done that, we've tried the natural things, but let's blend in some medications that will offer some benefit that have minimal side effects. So for blood pressure medicine, I might do, a low risk side effect profile med like losartan, for example. And combine that with an omega-3 and CoQ10 and exercise. And then I might say, okay, you're a type A individual and we need you to relax some more. So I want you to work on some meditation. I want you to get out in nature and hike. And then, as you mentioned, if somebody's had some traumas, for example, and they've been abused, or they've had a traumatic event in the military, for example, and they need to clear that, that shit, as we want to call it.
Yeah.
Then maybe they need to do some breathwork meditation. Maybe they need to do some plant medicine to clear that energy body of those thorns that are retained and need that deeper work to clear. And yesterday I had a gal in, and she has a stepdaughter that unfortunately was abused by a brother, and she's not been able to clear things with just traditional psychotherapy. So I'm actually referring her to a gal that does holotropic breath work and plant medicine to really clear that deeper stuff that obviously hasn't been cleared yet, because she's still struggling with depression and anxiety and whatnot. So I think you have to be willing to go outside of the box as an integrative doc to recommend these more powerful therapies to, in effect, shamanically clear people and balance them out.
Yeah. And I really love what you said about, when when we do all of these different alternative therapies, sometimes a prescription medication is warranted. I'm not against all prescription medications. I'm just against a doctor giving somebody a pill and saying you're going to be on this for the rest of your life, not asking any other questions about what's your diet, what's your spirituality, what's your community, all those questions that lead to either a field of wellness or a field of disease.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, I have so many people that come in that are either pre-diabetic or diabetic, and their docs just want to throw them on metformin or sulfonylurea or insulin, if it's really bad. But I can't tell you how many patients I've reversed from diabetic states with high hemoglobin A1Cs, which is a blood test that shows how bad your diabetes is, to a normal one, just by diet and exercise. It's amazing. And then, yeah, the element of mindfulness can lower your cortisol, which lowers your fat storage, which then lowers your glucose. So it's amazing how just calming yourself down stress-wise can improve your glucose levels too.
Absolutely. And I think that's what we're dealing with, or what I see, because every patient that I'm working with is on a statin. And then usually because of the statin, if it's been long-term, then their blood sugar has been chronically elevated. So then we're getting into more type 2 diabetes stuff. And it's that field of illness and toxicity that's creating these diseases. And we get back to how can we calm the nervous system? I was just talking to Coelle Simpson. She's an Equus coach. And she was saying that when you look at the animal world, horses that get stressed or abused in the arena or during training exercises, they go back into the field with the herd and their body resets.
Interesting.
See how, and so if we look at humans, so we get all of this chronic stress, nonstop.
Right.
But we don't have any way to ground or to reset daily. And I think we need that daily. I go out hiking for a couple hours and put my third eye to rocks or hands in water, just get my body grounded, or else I get sick.
Yeah, I totally agree. And for me, yeah, I'm either out in nature, grounding, earthing, to kind of get that reboot. That's definitely my psychotherapy, is being in nature, or on the water like you are. I don't have an ocean by me. I've got lakes, but I love to fly fish, and that's very meditative. I love to paddle in the streams with my kayak or my canoe, and all the negative ions of that is very good. But I think going to that space of grounding, connecting to Gaia, Pachamama, through nature, or through a meditative practice, even in your basement, where you may be just sitting there listening to mantra music, can be very powerful. I also use pulse magnetic field therapy, and I'll run it at a Schumann resonance of 7.8, which will pulse through the planet's frequency of magnetic energy through my body while I'm listening to mantra music, and that can work my typical work week where I don't have time to get out and drive up into the mountains and hike. Get that energetically and in kind of a high-tech manner, so that can be helpful.
And that frequencies too, and I can't speak with any authority on it. I don't know that much about it, but I know even just reading about the pyramids and the different sound frequencies that they were using in different chambers would heal different organs. And so is this similar to that? Because I think we get I see patients' eyes glaze over with these therapies, and some of them are as simple as tapping to get out some PTSD, or like you're saying, going down to the basement and meditating if you couldn't get out to ground, or mantra music. So can you just maybe explain a little bit of the science behind the frequencies and using that to ground and reduce?
Yeah, so the way I see it is like, when the Native Americans were in their more balanced state, not living on a reservation, they were hanging out around a fire, they were drumming, they were doing dances, whether it's the sun dance and whatnot, feeling the pulsatile energy of the planet, which comes out of that Schumann frequency of roughly 7.8. but at the same time, they were also drumming, which would create a sonic sound entrainment, which would then take them into this hypnotic state, which would allow them to connect more deeply to the cosmos, for example, to open up their third eye and to connect to the upper worlds of the cosmos and to Mother Earth that way. And whether it was a large ceremonial drum or a smaller hand drum, I think that primal activation, particularly of areas deep brain structure-wise, like our pineal gland, are rejuvenated. And I think one of the things that's really effed us up as modern humans is we're stuck under these fluorescent lights like I have. I mean, luckily I've got an office here that's got a view of the mountains and, you know, corner office, so I'm able to kind of feel some element of nature here. But some people are stuck in a cubicle underneath fluorescent lights. There's no nature there, and they're up on the 10th floor, and they're not feeling the magnetic flow of the planet there. So their brains are offline with nature, their bodies are offline with nature. And if they don't get out and do the work, you know, whether it's a weekend drumming circle, whether it's a hike, whether it's being on the water, kiteboarding, etc., then they're going to lose it, and their body's going to feel out of balance, because we've had, you know, millions of years where we've had that flow of energy, and now we're disconnected from it. And then we're inundated with all this 5G coming online, with the element of, you know, our Wi-Fi routers, with the element of, you know, jets flying by and cars and noise, everything else that I think distracts and creates chaos in our energy field. And the only way to get back there is to recognize that you've got to go to that primal state. And so if you're up for it, yeah, build a campfire, play your drum.
Yeah, no, and that's, you know, anyone can do it. And sometimes it's as simple as just getting an indoor plant and meditating next to the indoor plant, or, you know, there's always nature somewhere. You know, if you live in an apartment complex, you can just go outside and put your feet in the grass for 20 minutes, or just something to get in that practice. And then I think what happens is, what feels so good, it becomes a non-negotiable in your life. And that's what I call activating or igniting your inner healer, so that you're now sort of tuning yourself to health and wellness and healing, versus now it's just constant chronic inflammation and input from electronics, etc.
It's so rejuvenating. I'm glad you bring that up. I think one of the most healing things that I can do, particularly when I'm going on a hike, is if I hit a part of the trail where there's not a bunch of rocks. You know, it's kind of a hard place to find here in Colorado, the Rocky Mountains. But I'll get into, say, a pine forest where there's not too many pine cones floating around, and I'll take off my boots and I'll walk barefoot. And it is like the most powerful, rejuvenating feeling to feel that connection of your bare feet on a trail as you're hiking along. And the best hike I had with that was actually back in the redwood forests of California last fall. And, you know, the needles there are really soft. And I probably walked 4 or 5 miles barefoot. Is amazing. And then
it is amazing. And I think what it ignites is this intuition. I notice when I first start stepping, I'm like, I've got my gingerly steps, and, you know, but then as I just sort of drop in, my feet know where to go. I'm avoiding all, you know, I'm not just staring at the ground trying to find the path. It just flows. And then I do feel that connection to the earth. And I was just watching a show on nature about like a forest and a healthy forest. And, you know, what we're seeing is maybe 1/3 of the forest. The rest, the 2/3, is under the ground, and it's sensing us and it's feeling us, and they're communicating with each other. And for us to, you know, have our thick hiking shoes, we're missing part of that experience, I think.
Right. My next thing is to get a pair of moccasins, and, you know, I have some that I wear around the house in the wintertime, but I want a really thin pair with just the rawhide, so I can wear those on the rougher trails and feel it much better. I don't want any rubber because that's too insulating. I want something natural.
I agree. And I think, you know, with everything that we're talking about too, is getting back to our origination, our roots, and becoming more like, I mean, I really love the way the Native Americans lived. Of course, it's not perfect. No human being or society is ever perfect, but they seem to have it down pretty well. And they seem to have a really good harmony with nature. They were, you know, we forget that we are Mother Nature. We are coming from this planet. We are connected to this planet. So to reconnect to that, and if so many of us have been so far away, and you know, part of with this whole pandemic, I've seen more people out hiking than I ever have, and I'm really hopeful that can ignite, you know, a connection to nature, get some skin in the game to healing this planet.
I think it is, and I've been impressed. I've gone out on some hikes outside of Denver, just in the foothills, to see all the people out there reconnecting, and it's beautiful to see people that probably wouldn't have been out there otherwise. And I think that as we bring ourselves closer to nature, yeah, we'll definitely feel that balance. And what's harsh is that it's only been the last, 100, 200 years that we've had technology and fluorescent lights and all these things that have disconnected us from it. For us to evolve into this modern state in a couple hundred years where we've been used to being around nature for millions of years is quite a rapid transition. So I think a lot of our mental health issues are related to a primal disconnect from nature, and then being overstimulated by all the different frequencies of electronics and power lines and cell phones, et cetera, that I mentioned. So the ways to mitigate that are yeah, to get back out there at least, you know, a few times a week, if not on the weekends. And if we fail to do that, I think it's going to adversely impact our health.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a great point of, you know, when we're inundated in a way that modern humans have no record of how this is going to affect us long term. I just see intuitively how it's affecting me in this moment, and it doesn't feel good when I'm inundated with my phone, my computer, I'm answering things that aren't in front of me. I need that human connection. And I think part of, you know, with this shutdown and isolation, it's shown how much we deeply need each other, and we deeply need to connect with each other in person. And same with, you know, nature. I can't just look at a picture of the mountains. I got to be in the mountains, part of the mountains.
Yeah, I so agree. And I was talking about that on my Zoom call with my patients yesterday. The socialization element is critical, and we're used to being, you know, in tribes or, you know, close-knit social structures, and now we're forced away from each other, and we're doing things, you know, by Zoom like we are today, which is good. It's much better than just a phone call. But I think as we move through this pandemic, the more we can do to you know, get in groups and be face to face and just keep our distance to where we're not going to get COVID, the better off we'll be. And, you know, when we need to put on a mask, we can do that. And then when we're walking by and we're seeing our neighbors, we say hi to them. We don't, you know, turn the other way.
Right.
I ride my bike to work, and I've been amazed. You know, I cut through some neighborhoods to get here, and I'll wave to people, and it's like they don't want to wave back. They're kind of socially withdrawn, and I just worry about that impact in terms of, you know, what's their energy body looking like if they're in this state of fear and they don't want to even wave back at a human passing by them on a bike that's, you know, I'm easily 20 feet away. It's not like I'm posing a threat to them.
Well, and that's what I kind of want to talk to you about, because I have noticed, like, there's two camps. I think there's the camp of people that they're really looking inward right now, and I've had a lot of people just kind of connect with me who have just gone deeply inward and reawakening to what's happening. But then there's the people that have completely isolated and shut down and listened to the news 24/7, that have gotten into that fear and panic, like humans are now poison. Like we're looking at each other as if we're poison to one another. And I think that could be really detrimental to the actual connection we're craving.
Oh, exactly. It's almost like, you know, another human's like a leper or something.
Yes.
And I was feeling it. I was like, come on, guys, you know, wrap your head around this and relax. It's it's a stressful situation for us to be into, but we've got to be in this together, and we have to show love and compassion and understanding to each other. And I think there's been a lot of social media fear and misinformation spread out there, which has unfortunately divided us further instead of united us around a common enemy to hopefully defeat this or mitigate it the best that we can in the near future. So the more we can go to that space of calmness and understanding and being in the element of, following common sense rules to prevent further spread of it, while at the same time maintaining our social connection to each other, I think we'll be much better off. It's just sad that people are recoiling into this place of fear and closed heart chakras and everything else. This is going to really hurt their heart chakras. So
yeah, and speaking of chakras and energy, I think it's hard for people to wrap their head around when you can't specifically see your energetic system, but it gets clogged and it gets stuck just like any other part of the body, like the lymph system or what have you. So when we're talking about like the chakras and clearing the energy, it boosts your immune system when you do it. But what in your opinion is the reason for clearing the energy and clearing any stuck patterns
I think,
in the energetic field?
Yeah, that's a great question, Robin. I think the reason for doing it is by clearing stuck energies, we're going to lower our cortisol levels, which are an adrenal hormone. And by lowering our cortisol levels, we'll reduce stress and will improve our immune function. We know that high cortisol levels lower our immune system responses, everything from white blood cells being able to attack a virus or a bacteria. High cortisol levels also cause fat storage. They cause inflammation, which can then even cause your brain to shrink. So if you look at individuals that are under a lot of stress, you'll actually see cerebral atrophy. And then if you get them into, say, like a 2 to 3 week meditation up at a monastery, you'll see their brains expand and regenerate. So there's a huge global effect on the element of releasing traumas, releasing negative energies through whatever chakra, whether it's your crown, your heart chakra. A lot of us will retain it in our solar plexus, which is the area of fear, the third chakra. So breath work, holotropic breath work will really help expand and clear that out. Sometimes sound therapy, I'll do a crystal healing bowl on my patients sometimes to help them clear and release with just simple sound. And then things like chanting mantras, like if you say Om Mani Padme Om, which is the mantra of compassion and connecting to the lotus, you will hear the tones of your Om root chakra, Mani, which is more third chakra, Padme, which is more up in crown, and then you go back down to root. So you're basically waving through a mantra-based tonal value that goes root to crown and back down. And so those kind of things are really helpful. So your own voice chanting a mantra can be healthy, and then tonal values of a Tibetan bowl or a crystal bowl, whether it's an F sharp or a lower note, can help perfuse your body or resonate your body with a coherent frequency that then I feel can help break up negative energy and clear it out. So sometimes I'll have people where I'm just spinning a bowl on their belly while they're lying flat on a massage therapy table. And then all of a sudden they're just breaking out in tears, or they have some big emotional event. I'm like, whoa. And you can see it that I've just cleared some shit out just by doing a simple healing bowl. Other times, it's an acupuncturist and they've hit the meridian lines along a particular area around the liver and the solar plexus, and they suddenly have a clearing and they're crying, they're releasing. So it really is a true phenomena. And if you listen to some of these pop stars in spirituality, whether it's Deepak or Wayne Dyer, Joe Dispenza, all of those will all talk about the energy body.
Yeah.
Alberto Yeah.
I love that. And what I really love is that, there's thousands of these alternative therapies out there. And when we're getting back to healing the root, it's my root. And so if I can start opening up my own intuition, I'm going to be guided to the right therapy, whether it's sound therapy or whether it's just meditating in nature. But it's creating a safe enough space where that you can now start to listen to whatever you want to call it, your heart, God, your soul, speaking through you and gravitating. And it's usually very quiet. It's not going to yell at you, go do acupuncture or go see Fred Grover. It's very quiet, and it'll just be kind of like something's illuminated and it feels juicy.
Yeah, exactly. You'll suddenly know it. I think it's kind of a intuitive hit, or sometimes I have weird things happen where, like when I decided to study Peruvian shamanism, I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I'd really love to learn more about Peruvian shamanism. That week, 3 people in a row in 1 week, patients told me, you should check out shamanism, Fred. And they were like sharing links with me, and
wow.
I was like, oh my God, but how did I source that? And so sometimes you get the thought in your mind, and then the universe responds by then giving you confirmatory messages from patients or friends, or their signs, as we call it, right? And
so yeah, exactly.
When I get 3, then it's like, wow, there's something going on here.
Pay attention. Well, I always ask the universe to give me my signs very clearly, like a toddler could figure this out. I don't want to have to sleuth through, is this a sign? Is that a sign? It's like, I want to be hit over the head with it. Yeah. And that's how the universe brings me signs. It's very obvious.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I get those 4x4s. Other times it's more subtle.
More subtle.
On the shoulder. Hey.
Yeah. But and I think that's, if we kind of encompass everything we've been talking about, the more that you ground, the more that you connect back with Mother Nature, the more that you lose the illusion that we're all separate from Mother Nature and from each other, then you are more awake to trusting your intuition and regaining that, what I call that sovereignty back over your body. Only you have the wisdom to know what's right for you. But I think we've gotten so disconnected from that. It's like, well, you tell me what to do for me, and then I'll just do it.
Right, right. And I think that's unfortunately what's happened to much of our, consciousness around the world, is people have lost their intuition, their ability to connect their third eye to the cosmos, to the Akasha, to be able to bring in those insights. And the only way we can bring those back online is by doing the deeper work, whether it's, the sound therapy of drumming, whether it's plant medicine or connected to nature, because otherwise we've shut those higher realms of consciousness down. I think that, sure, we become intelligent beings and our cortex is, expanded so much over the years to where we can, make an atomic bomb. We can figure out all these amazing mathematical calculations and technologies, but it's not just our cortex, it's our deeper brain structures that really provide, in my mind, a higher level of intelligence. And I think that when you look at some of the greater thinkers, the greater creative people, whether they're people like Mozart or Einstein, etc., they're using a super intelligence. It's not just their brain, they're connecting to a higher consciousness that their brain
yeah, and that brings up my favorite topic. When we're talking about really tapping into your intuition, and I had called you last year and I just said, something's coming, something's brewing. How do I prepare myself? And you're like, well, let's get a ham radio. Gets, maybe 6 months worth of survival food. I bought some seeds and got my planners all set up. But I know I'm guided. I knew that something in the air was happening. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I needed to be prepared for something. And when we're tapped into that intuition and we're in flow state and in harmony with Mother Nature, we'll get these hits. We'll get these hits of, hey, go buy some seeds. I ordered all these organic seeds and started, growing my garden. That's it. It's not going to be, this big complicated thing usually. Right. But, it's just will be led. And that's the power of, you know, maybe tapping in through plant medicines and journeys, or just grounding with Mother Nature, or opening your third eye through some of these practices like drumming. That's why we're saying, you know, and promoting all these things.
Yeah.
Because it opens that intuition, and now we're all connecting better.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think we have to recognize that it can't just be an occasional deal. It needs to be, you know, at least a weekly practice, if not a daily practice.
Yes.
It's kind of like you hear about people that go on a meditation retreat for a week. You know, like I know a lot of people that go to Shambhala Center, or they go down to Rhythmia in Costa Rica.
Right.
They come back and like, oh, I feel great, but then they don't have a daily practice or even a once a week practice. So I would say for all the listeners, yeah, try to find something that resonates with you that you can do on a daily basis. And whether it's drumming on your own, or going on a hike and meditating in the forest, you name it, whatever resonates.
That's it. And it's got to be whatever resonates, because I know a lot of people, just even the word yoga makes them close down and eyes glaze over. But there's literally thousands of things that you can do. There's primal dancing. There's this ecstatic dancing if you're a dancer. There's just simply sitting next to a redwood tree and zoning out, you know, whatever you want to call it, grounding, earthing. You can call it whatever you want, but just reconnecting yourself to source is kind of what we're talking about.
Exactly the case. And I think for me, I love diversity. So maybe I'm doing some ecstatic dance one week, and then I'm, you know, going for a hike the next, and then I'm in a drumming circle the following. So I like that diversity, but some people like more consistency with, you know, just a normal meditative practice, etc. So it really depends on how much spice you want in your mindfulness and your spirituality versus more of a regimented, similar thing all the time. So yeah, I can't agree more that you know, you have to find what works for you. I wrote that book, Spiritual Genomics, last year, which goes into dance and sound and sacred geometry, connecting to water, plant medicine, all just to provide a toolkit for people to say, okay, here's a way that I can shift my DNA to a healthier state epigenetically by considering one of these therapies. And I'm not prescribing anything per se. I'm just saying, hey, here's a ton of different ideas.
Yes.
Go play with them. If you like them, great. If you don't, go try something else. I just want to kind of, you know, get you out of the starting block so you can at least explore and find.
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, that's a great point, because initially it does kind of feel like I got to get myself out and get to the water and do yoga, or I got to do my 5 minutes meditation. But I always, you know, there's always a baby step into that. Like you can just throw on some headphones and do guided meditation, or, you know, go put your feet on the lawn for 5 minutes and just see how your body feels. You know, once you start tapping into within, it becomes this, you know, practice that fuels itself. And now you have to do it. It just feels so good to your body and your soul. And then you're now being guided by the inner self, the soul.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's an element where I would say people need to be bold and go outside of their comfort zone to make some quantum leaps in their spirituality. A lot of people are like, oh, you know, maybe I'll meditate, but they're afraid to walk barefoot in the forest, or
right.
So push yourself out of your comfort zone, and then you'll find that you can actually grow much more. And sometimes you'll need somebody to facilitate that growth, and it could be like I did, taking a course in shamanism. So I learned from a master in regards to how to do different things. But you don't have to do that. It could be as simple as listening to a book on tape or reading a book. So whatever works for you to get you motivated is good.
Yeah, and that brings up a really good point, though, is playing to your edge. You know, I think we're, as humans on this plane, in this dimension, we're not meant to just cruise and have a party and enjoy ourselves and practice, striving for heaven. We're meant to struggle, and we're meant to feel that discomfort. That's where the growth is. So it could just be, an ice bath or 10 minutes of cold in your shower, but that awakens that primal part of us that then we can explore without being so unconscious. And I think that's, maybe what we're talking about too more is the awareness of who we are in truth, of these energetic beings, and being conscious of our direction, not being puppeteered by old traumas or stagnant energy or beliefs that are holding us back. We're now open to, our minds are open, our spirits are open.
Yeah. And I think in modern society, it's become so easy to live for the most part, right? We're not being shot at, and we're not being tackled by a mountain lion, unless we're here in Colorado.
Right.
So we don't have these external stressors that were there in terms of survival, which in a way is good, but in other ways, it makes us less bold and less enabled to take on these bigger challenges. And people stress and freak out to the pandemic, and they stress and freak out to other things like, there are a lot worse things that could be happening. You could be on the shores of Normandy,
Right.
Back in the 1940s, having the Germans shoot at you. You could be like my grandfather, the admiral in the Pacific, being shelled by the Japanese. I mean, there's some serious shit that our forefathers have gone through.
Right.
Pretty damn easy. So if I'm telling you, okay, you got to stay at home for a month, it's like, okay, I can handle that.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point, because and I don't listen to the news anymore, and I haven't. I find my written sources and I stay informed. But when we're not inundated with the global fear and panic, I look around me and I'm safe. I'm safe in this moment. Yeah. I have a roof over my head. I have food in the refrigerator. My son is safe. My dog is safe. And just focusing on that, it's almost like I'm turning my soul's radar to picking up more safety and calm, versus if all I'm doing is listening to the news and it's, one disaster after another. That's now what my radar is attuned to. And I'll start bringing that in, the fear and the chaos.
I agree. So be thankful for the stability, the roof over your head, the food, the family, all of that kind of stuff. And don't get distracted by all the noise out there in the media that's creating fear. And then all the social media ploys are going on to take you to that place of fear. So you buy a book, or you do this or that, because they're oftentimes just trying to make money off of fear.
Yeah. Yeah. I always consider, who's benefiting from all of this, and war or fear mongering and the different misinformations that, cause people to chicken little themselves.
Exactly. So you have to kind of critically think through it, look at the big picture, ground yourself out, and just recognize how good things really are. And recognize, okay, I'm prepared for this or that, if things really do hit the fan. And, it's funny you're mentioning, how you prepared after I had mentioned some of that a while back. I had all my N95s I needed here in the practice, so I didn't have to order that. I had all the toilet paper that I needed in the house too. So, I was set. I'm ready for whatever to hit the fan, probably not a nuclear bomb. I'll just kind of kiss my ass goodbye when that happens. But, all the other moderate things I think I can handle. And I have to go to this place of, acceptance if things are so bad that, there's nothing I can do. And I think by doing the deeper work meditatively, spiritually, we're able to handle the element of acceptance, whether it's horrible or really good, and you're able to keep that buffered stability without being thrown a monkey wrench, like so many people that are already on edge and not in that state of being grounded or just being, thrown off.
Right.
So you've got to maintain your center. And maintain the flow.
That's maintain the center, maintain the flow, and then you're guided. You realize, like, I was already stocked up with toilet paper, and I didn't need, anything else. So really, I had everything I needed, because it was just, when you're in flow and you've got your intuition on board, you just do it. You don't think about it. And I think but that's it. When you're centered, we don't want to be in this plane, in this dimension, if we know the outcome. It's like, I just need to know I'm safe and everything's going to be fine. We don't want to know that. We're not here to play a game where we know the outcome. We're here to grow and navigate the unknown. That's what we crave. And so I think, you know, when we're talking about all these different therapies and all these different modalities, it's play to your edge and be a little bit afraid and just step outside that comfort zone, knowing that that's why you're enjoying playing this game, because you don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah. And kind of enjoy that. You know,
Yes.
that's what life's about. Nothing's got to be known. And I think, you know, as a physician, I always thought, oh, I'm going to come out, I'm going to work in one family medicine practice, and that's where I'm going to be for the rest of my life. But, you know,
Yeah.
careers from Kaiser to academia to private practice. So I've changed around quite a bit, and I've just been in the flow of finding the passion of what I love doing, as mentioned, the functional medicine model. And I didn't get stuck in this rut of, oh, I'm just going to do regular family medicine all the time. So I think life is the same way too. We had to be able to flow with what we're passionate about and what our needs are, you know, spiritually, physically, mentally, etc. And if we resolve ourselves to being stuck in a box, then we're not going to be happy. We've got to find that flow point. That book, Stealing Fire, is a great read if you guys haven't read it, by Jamie Wheel and Kotler. And it talks about being in flow state, and flow states of Navy SEAL people, flow states of corporate executives, and it's a lot of you know, what we're talking about.
Yeah, and that's it. And so in closing, what can you give, like, some really easy, simple takeaways for somebody that is not ready to, you know, adopt a long meditation practice or do anything that's going to, you know, take them to an alternative therapy practice, but just two simple things they could do right now to start igniting their inner healer?
I would say, since it's summertime or approaching summertime, take a hike, go out into the woods. At some point when you hit some ground that is soft, I want you to take off your shoes, walk for at least 100 yards, and then go sit under a tree and simply feel your root chakra, your spine connecting to Pachamama, to Gaia, and at the same time feeling your crown connecting to the cosmos, and bringing that energy from Mother Earth into your heart, and the energy from the sky, Father Sky, into your heart, creating this unified field of energy, spiraling it through your heart, and just connecting to the oneness of the universe. I think that's the first thing I would recommend if you're willing to go out in nature and connect, and it's the perfect time of the year to do that. The other thing I'd advise is consider trying some mantra-based meditation. And I think the power of sound is amazing. And mantra meditation is something that's easy to get off of Spotify or your Apple, you know, music, etc. And artists like Deva Premal, Snatam Kaur, are excellent ones to start with. I have a playlist on Spotify. It's called Ashtar 111, ASHTAR 111, and it has 70 songs or so on my playlist. You're welcome to tap into that and play it off Spotify.
I'll put the link in the show notes too for people.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then I think what you can do is just listen to the mantras, and maybe only 5 of them resonate with you, or maybe all of them do. And then as you listen to one that really resonates with you, I want you to chant the mantra. So like the mantra Ramadasa is a beautiful mantra of healing. And as you chant it, feel that sound as you chant Ramadasa going through your energy body, balancing your chakras. And then at the same time, feel yourself healing. And I don't want you to go to a state of, oh, I'm healing my, you know, my right kidney or something like that. It's like, oh, I'm just healing my whole body wherever it needs to be healed, because you don't want to be too specific when you do energy healing on yourself. You just want to say, I'm feeling healthier and stronger, and seeing my luminous energy body, becoming more balanced. So as you say, Ramadasa, just visualize yourself in an optimal state of health. So nature and sound would be my two recommendations for.
I love it. And every time you talk, or every time you get into that rhythm of like, okay, now what I want you to do, I don't know, my whole being I started to zone out and meditate in that state. You just have this gift of taking me into that other realm. It's amazing. So thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, you're welcome. If you want, I could do a little healing bowl meditation. I don't know if there's time, or we could do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Tap in real quickly. So feel the energy of this crystal bowl, opening your heart chakra, but also opening your third chakra, your solar plexus, and allowing you to release any fear around this pandemic, and to go to a place of deep healing, so that if you do become exposed to the virus, your body is able to mitigate and clear the virus clearly, or you're able to clear it with just minor symptoms and not be hospitalized. Feel the energy of this frequency awakening your immune system to be ready to attack any virus. Feel the energy balancing your energy body to stay calm, keeping those cortisol levels normal. And feel the energy connecting you to Mother Earth, Father Sky, so that you can maintain that flow state, that connection to all that is, the connection to oneness, so that you can maintain optimal health and wellness from here until you are a great elder, hopefully beyond 100 years of age. And feel the energy of the Egyptians coming from this particular bowl, their ancient lineage and knowledge, downloading you with great data and insights to help you live a strong, healthy, and happy life. And then I love to kind of run it across my heart chakra up to my crown, sending it to you guys, and sending love and compassion and healing to everyone. Aho.
Aho. Thank you so much, Fred. And thank you. You just absolutely light my heart up. And I feel so much peace knowing that there are people like you out in this world that are so passionate about what you do. And you're really invested in the healing arts. And I say that, when I say the word healing, I mean, we're here to help each other. We're here to elevate each other energetically, spiritually, physically. And I just thank God you're on the planet at the same time I am.
Well, thank God you are too. I think, when we have like-minded people that can combine our energies together to hopefully activate others to do the deeper work, we'll be a more conscious society, we'll be a healthier society, and a more loving society. I think that's the greatest thing we need to bring back is love for each other and compassion for each other. And if there's anything that comes out of this pandemic, I just want to see love and compassion prevail, and not fear and greed, and all the other negative elements of the universe that we don't need. So
I
sending all of
agree.
you, sending all of you guys light to move in that direction. And let's do this again sometime. We'll
absolutely. I would love that.
Sound healing, whatever is on your list of things to do. Just let me know.
Yeah, and what a treat for people too. Like that, I definitely felt that in my core, in my being. And again, let's just keep the dream of love and compassion alive. I believe to my core, love always wins, but we don't need to know the outcome. And so that's why we have to have shadow come in and threaten it so that we know what we hold value. And this is a great time to reset and just, what do you value within? Not anything external. And it's, it'll usually come back to the heart and chakra. And I love my family, and I have compassion for others. Exactly. So with that, thank you so much, Fred. Right. And I would love to do this again sometime soon.
Oh, for sure. Love you, Robin.
Love you, Fred. Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.